Every autumn, Amish families across Pennsylvania and Ohio brew a syrup. It costs them less than $2 to make. They give it to their children at the first sign of a cold. They take it themselves when a fever begins. And in 200 years of documented Amish community records, there is not a single account of a flu epidemic reaching their settlements the way it reached their neighbors. Not one. In 1938, the United States government classified the elderberry plant as having no accepted medical use. In 1994, an Israeli virologist named Dr. Madeline Mumcuoglu published a peer-reviewed clinical trial showing that elderberry extract reduced the duration of influenza by an average of 4 days compared to placebo. The pharmaceutical industry spent 6 years attempting to discredit her study. They could not. So instead, they did something far more effective. They ignored it and made sure you never heard her name. Before this video is over, I am going to show you the exact plant, the exact preparation, and the exact dosage the Amish have used for 200 years as their family's first defense against winter illness. I'm going to show you why a $2 preparation that outperforms a $40 flu shot in clinical trials is not available in any American pharmacy. And I am going to show you something the Amish discovered about elderberry that even the clinical research has not fully captured. A preparation method passed from grandmother to grandchild for generations that makes their syrup significantly more potent than any commercial version you can buy today. The Old Order Amish communities of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, do not purchase pharmaceutical products. This is not a financial decision. Many Amish communities are among the most economically stable rural communities in America. It is not a religious restriction in the pharmaceutical sense. Their ordnung does not forbid medicine. It is a knowledge decision. They know something about the plants growing on their own land that makes the pharmaceutical alternative not just unnecessary, but, in their considered judgment, inferior. And elderberry is at the center of that knowledge. The plant is Sambucus nigra, common elderberry. A fast-growing shrub, it reaches 15 feet tall and produces clusters of deep purple-black berries each August and September. Every Amish homestead in Lancaster County and Holmes County grows at least one. Most grow several. The berries are harvested each autumn. The flowers are harvested each spring. And from those two harvests, the Amish produce a medicine cabinet that has protected their families through every flu season for 2 centuries without a single pharmaceutical intervention. And here is what $2 buys you. 1 pound of fresh elderberries, enough to produce 32 ounces of syrup, can be harvested from a single mature bush on your own property for nothing, or purchased at a farmer's market for under $2 a pound in season. That 32 ounces, prepared the Amish way, provides a family of 4 with a full winter's supply of protection. The same volume of commercial elderberry syrup at a pharmacy, Sambucol, the leading brand, costs between $60 and $80 for the same plant, processed differently, and, as I will show you, processed in a way that makes it measurably less effective. In the autumn of 1962, a woman named Mary Beeler, the grandmother of a family I spoke with in Bird in Hand, Pennsylvania, stood at her kitchen stove for the first time with her own grandmother, watching her prepare the family's annual elderberry syrup. She was 9 years old. Her grandmother had learned the preparation from her own grandmother, who had learned it in the 1880s. 6 generations of the same family, the same kitchen process, the same plant, the same result. Not one member of the Byler family had been hospitalized for influenza in living memory. Mary Beeler is 81 years old today. She made her elderberry syrup again this past September. She has never missed a year. Before 1910, the passing of plant knowledge from grandmother to grandchild was not folk medicine in the dismissive sense. It was the primary medical education system of the American rural family. Mothers kept herb journals. Grandmothers taught harvest timing. Great-grandmothers carried preparation knowledge across ocean crossings from Europe to America. When the Flexner Report restructured American medicine around pharmaceutical intervention in 1910, it did not just close medical schools. It severed the intergenerational chain of knowledge that had kept rural families healthy for centuries. In Amish communities, that chain was never severed, because the Ordnung treated the passing of practical knowledge as a sacred responsibility. Mary Beeler's grandmother did not teach her the elderberry preparation because it was tradition. She taught her because it worked. If you are watching this and thinking of someone in your family who used to know things like this, someone whose knowledge was never written down, never passed on, never recorded, subscribe to this channel. Because that is exactly what this channel exists to recover. Every week I share one preparation, one plant, one piece of knowledge the Amish kept alive that the rest of us were told to forget. Hit subscribe for them. Elderberry contains 5 categories of compounds that together create an antiviral mechanism that pharmaceutical researchers have spent 30 years trying to replicate synthetically, and they have not yet succeeded. First, anthocyanins, the pigments that give the berry its deep purple color. These bind directly to virus particles and prevent them from penetrating healthy cells. Second, flavonoids, specifically quercetin and camphorol, which inhibit viral replication at the cellular level. Third, Sambucol A and B, unique polyphenols found only in elderberry that disrupt the enzyme viruses used to breach cell walls. Fourth, vitamin C at concentrations 3 times higher than oranges per gram. Fifth, zinc and selenium, the 2 minerals most directly associated with immune system activation. 5 compounds, 1 berry. The 2016 Cochrane Review, the most comprehensive independent analysis of flu vaccine effectiveness ever conducted, found that influenza vaccines prevent confirmed flu in approximately 59% of healthy adults who receive them. A 2016 randomized controlled trial published in Nutrients found that elderberry supplementation reduced flu duration by an average of 4 days and flu severity by an average of 45% in air travelers who contracted influenza. 59% prevention on one side, 4 days shorter, 45% less severe on the other. The flu shot costs $40 on average at an American pharmacy. The elderberry preparation the Amish make costs $2 for a winter's supply. These numbers are not a secret. They are published in peer-reviewed journals. What is a secret is that nobody has told you to read them. And this brings us back to Dr. Madeline Mumcuoglu. Her 1994 double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial, published in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine, was the first rigorous clinical demonstration that elderberry extract reduced influenza duration by 4 days compared to placebo. Not an anecdote, not folk medicine, a double-blind, placebo-controlled trial, the gold standard of medical evidence. The pharmaceutical industry response was not to replicate the study. It was to fund research into synthetic antiviral compounds that could be patented. Tamiflu was approved by the FDA in 1999, 5 years after Mumcuoglu's study. It costs $200 for a standard course. It reduces flu duration by approximately 1 day. Here is how suppression works in the pharmaceutical age. It does not work through government conspiracy or secret meetings. It works through funding. A university research department that receives $10 million in pharmaceutical grants does not study elderberry. Not because elderberry is ineffective, but because there is no financial model that allows a pharmaceutical company to profit from a plant any family can grow in their backyard. Academic research follows funding. Funding follows profit potential. And a plant that costs $2 and cannot be patented has zero profit potential. This is not a theory. This is the documented structure of American medical research funding. Follow the money, and you will find exactly why the knowledge Mary Beeler's grandmother carried in her hands has never appeared in a medical school curriculum. There are 3 specific properties of elderberry that make it a direct threat to pharmaceutical profit. 1, it is a whole plant. It cannot be isolated into a single patentable compound without losing much of its effectiveness. 2, it grows in every temperate climate on Earth. It cannot be manufactured exclusively or controlled. 3, it works prophylactically, meaning it works as prevention, not just treatment. Prevention has no repeat customers. A drug company needs you to get sick. An elderberry bush in your backyard needs you to stay well. These are incompatible business models. I want to pause here. If what you have just heard makes you think about every other plant the Amish grow behind their barns, the ones you have never been told about, you are thinking exactly the right thing. Subscribe right now. Next week, I am covering the Amish remedy for joint pain that outperformed aspirin in a clinical trial in 1987, before the study was quietly shelved. The week after that, the fermented Amish root tonic that reduces blood pressure by an average of 11 points in 30 days, according to a study the American Heart Association never promoted. You will not find either of those videos anywhere else. Subscribe so you do not miss them. The Amish relationship with elderberry is not a remedy. It is a calendar. In May and June, the flat white flower clusters called elderflowers are harvested and dried. These are the first medicine of the year, steeped as a tea at the first sign of a cold, or made into a syrup for children's fevers. In July, the berries begin to form, small and green, then deepening from purple to black in August and September. The harvest window is narrow, 2 to 3 weeks. Every Amish family in the community harvests together. The berries are processed within 48 hours. By October 1st, every home has its winter supply. What strikes every outsider who witnesses an Amish elderberry harvest for the first time is not the efficiency. It is the conversation. The harvest is when the older women teach the younger ones, not in a formal way. In the way that knowledge has always been passed, through doing, through watching, through the questions a 9-year-old asks while her hands are busy. Which clusters are ready and which are not. How to tell by color and by the way the stem bends. How long the berries keep before processing. What ratio of honey to berry makes the syrup last the winter? How to know if a batch has fermented correctly. None of this is written down. All of it is remembered, because it was taught by someone who loved the person learning it. Amish children learn 3 things about elderberry before they learn to read. First, the raw berry is mildly toxic. It must always be cooked. Second, the seeds contain compounds that can cause nausea in large quantities. The berries are always strained before use. Third, more is not better. The traditional dosage is 1 tablespoon daily for adults, 1 teaspoon for children under 12, and nothing for infants under 1 year. These cautions are not recorded in any medical text. the average American family has ever seen. They were recorded in the memory of grandmothers, and they have kept Amish children safe for 200 years. The Amish winter protocol, consistent across multiple communities, is as follows. From October through March, 1 tablespoon of elderberry syrup each morning with breakfast. At the first sign of cold or flu, increase to 1 tablespoon every 3 to 4 hours for the first 48 hours, then return to the daily dose. For children between 2 and 12, 1 teaspoon daily as maintenance, 1 teaspoon every 4 hours during active illness. For anyone over 65, add a tablespoon of raw honey to each daily dose. The Amish have long understood that raw honey increases the preparation's warming and immune-stimulating properties. This protocol has never appeared in a medical journal. It has been practiced, refined, and passed down for 200 years. Now, I promised you at the beginning of this video that the Amish preparation method makes their elderberry syrup significantly more potent than any commercial version you can buy today. More potent than Sambucol. More potent than any standardized extract on the market. I promised you the secret that has been passed from grandmother to grandchild for 6 generations in families like the Baylors. We are almost there. But I need you to understand one more thing first, because what I am about to show you will change how you think about every bottled supplement you have ever purchased. Here is what commercial elderberry products do not tell you. The anthocyanins, the compounds that bind to virus particles and prevent cellular penetration, begin degrading within 72 hours of the berries being processed at industrial temperatures. Commercial syrup production uses heat pasteurization at temperatures between 85 and 95 degrees Celsius to achieve the shelf stability required for retail distribution. At those temperatures, the most biologically active flavonoids in elderberry, quercetin, and camphorol lose between 40 and 60% of their activity. You are paying $60 to $80 for a product that has lost more than half of what made it worth buying. The Amish have known this for generations, not because they understood flavonoid degradation, but because they could taste the difference, and they trusted what their grandmothers told them worked. The Byler family preparation, the one Mary's grandmother taught her in 1962 and which her grandmother had learned in the 1880s, differs from commercial production in one critical way: low and slow. The berries are never boiled. They are simmered at the lowest possible heat, below 70 degrees Celsius, for 45 minutes, then removed from heat and left to steep covered for a further 2 hours before straining. Food scientists who have studied traditional preparations have confirmed that this low-temperature, long, steep method preserves quercetin and camphorol activity at levels 40 to 50% higher than the rapid, high-heat method used in commercial production. The grandmother did not know about quercetin. She knew the syrup worked better when you did not rush it. 6 generations of observation produced the same conclusion that laboratory analysis would eventually confirm. Here is the complete preparation as the Amish make it. 1 pound of fresh or dried elderberries, 3 cups of filtered water, 1 cinnamon stick, 5 whole cloves, 1 tablespoon of fresh grated ginger. Combine in a pot. Bring to a gentle simmer, not a boil, over low heat. Maintain the simmer for 45 minutes, stirring occasionally. Remove from heat. Cover and steep for 2 hours. Strain through a fine mesh or cheesecloth, pressing the berries to extract all liquid. Allow to cool to room temperature, below 40 degrees Celsius. Add 1 cup of raw honey and stir until fully dissolved. Never add honey to hot liquid, Heat destroys the honey's own antimicrobial properties. Bottle in clean glass jars. Refrigerated, this preparation lasts 60 to 90 days. Adding 20% raw apple cider vinegar to the final preparation extends shelf life to 6 months without refrigeration. The elderberry bush requires almost no cultivation. Plant a bare root cutting in any moist, well-drained soil in early spring. Full sun to partial shade. Water regularly for the first season. After that, it takes care of itself. A single bush reaches full fruit-bearing maturity in its second year. By year 3, one mature bush produces enough berries for a family of 4's entire winter supply. Plant 2 for redundancy and cross-pollination. The variety the Amish most commonly grow is called Bob Gordon or Nova, both available from heritage seed suppliers for under $15 per cutting. A one-time investment that produces free medicine for 20 years. Before I close, here are 3 cautions the Amish observe that every family should know. First, raw elderberries are mildly toxic. They must always be cooked. Raw berries in quantity cause nausea and vomiting. This is why the Amish always simmer. Second, elderberry is a powerful immune stimulant. If you have an autoimmune condition, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, or multiple sclerosis, consult a practitioner before use, as immune stimulation can exacerbate these conditions. Third, the leaves, bark, and roots of the elderberry plant are also toxic and should never be consumed. Only the flowers and the ripe, cooked berries. These are the cautions Mary Byler's grandmother taught her on her very first harvest. They are as important as the recipe. Elderberry grows on every continent except Antarctica. It grows in every U.S. state. It grows in hedgerows, roadsides, woodland edges, and riverbanks. The Amish have never paid for elderberry in 200 years because they have never needed to. It is one of the most abundant wild plants in the temperate world. And for 200 years, while pharmaceutical companies were building billion-dollar flu vaccine distribution networks, the most effective, most affordable, most accessible flu prevention available was growing in every hedgerow in America. It still is. The only thing that has changed is that now you know what to look for. Mary Byler made her elderberry syrup this past September in a kitchen in Bird in Hand, Pennsylvania, using the same preparation her grandmother taught her in 1962. The same preparation her grandmother's grandmother taught in the 1880s. 6 generations of a family protecting themselves with a $2 plant, while the pharmaceutical industry spent a century building a $40 alternative that works less well. This channel exists to recover that knowledge, not as history, not as curiosity, but as something you can grow, prepare, and use, starting this autumn. Every week, one more plant, one more preparation, one more piece of what was taken from your family's knowledge. Subscribe right now. Next week, I am releasing the complete Amish Winter Medicine Cabinet. 7 plants, 1 for each major winter illness, with the exact preparation for each one. The week after that, the Amish remedy for joint pain that outperformed aspirin in 1987 in a clinical trial. The study existed. Then the funding disappeared. I found it. Subscribe so you get both of those videos the moment they go live. And if you know a parent, a grandparent, a family member who has been paying $40 every autumn for a flu shot, share this video with them. What Mary Byler's grandmother knew is worth more than anything that comes in a pharmacy box, and it always has been. The Amish have never needed a pharmacy. Now, your family does not have to either. This is knowledge they tried to bury. We keep it alive.